Mike, and you're watching Spiritual Combat, and the title of today's show is Overcoming the Passive Spirit. And this is something that's just widespread among men and is real heavy in the Christian church. Um, and I'll show you the definition of passive. I'll pull it up here. Okay. I thought this was a good definition. It's passive, accepting or allowing what happens or what others do without active response or resistance. The women were portrayed as passive victims. So submissive, unresisting, unassertive. Isn't that funny? Unassertive, because that's my next definition. Let's pull that up. Unassertive, not having or showing a confident or forceful personality. And I would say a confident personality. Okay. And that's just a lot of men, particularly in relationships. There was an article I have read, and it was talking about passive aggressive men or passive aggressiveness in churches. And what the article says, the majority of the people who complain about passive aggressiveness are married women about their men. Okay. So that I thought that was funny. But yeah, being passive is a type of fear, really. And when you read the scriptures and when you read the role of the man, it's not passive. And it's like, but the churches push this soft, passive, feminized Jesus when he wasn't that. I mean, he would tell people stuff. What could you be saying to somebody when you go talk to a group of people and they're sitting there grinding their teeth ready to kill you? So he was so assertive and so direct and so not passive that it ended up getting him killed because he was telling it like it was. He wasn't watering it down, no chaser, no cut on it, no nothing, just straight pure truth. But then they market this, oh yeah, oh yes, thou is this, that, and the other. Every time you see a Jesus movie, you know what I'm saying? He made a whip and he was flipping tables over and whipping people out of the temple. But they showed, and then the one guy said, "You're an austere man." That's what the somebody told him. It's in the scriptures. So what's an austere man? Um, and and then the other thing, they hold on, let me pull this up. They always market, oh well, love and flowers and cupcakes and love, brother, and you gotta have love. They always, oh, the Bible is love. No, it's, you can read through there and see God's different emotions. He had jealousy, he has hate, because he hates, he detests certain sins, homosexuality. He says that's an abomination to him. Okay. He has sadness. He has anger. He has all those emotions, and he has love, and he has patience. But what they always market, what they always push is be passive, be passive. To be the man of a house is not to be passive. It's to be assertive. And my favorite definition of the word assertive, what I feel embodies the definition of assertive that I feel embodies what the word lays out for a man to be is this assertive definition that's on Wikipedia. Is assertiveness is the quality of being self-assured and confident without being aggressive. So it says in the function of psychology or psychotherapy. So it says some other stuff, but I feel like that's the best definition. And to define it even better is assertive is being able to draw lines and establish boundaries. And if they get crossed, letting people know, making those boundaries known. When the boundaries and the lines that you draw get crossed. And when you're the man of a house and you have a wife and kids, you have to be assertive. You can't be no passive dude. I mean, you could plainly read that in the word where it says the head of the man. I mean, the head of the woman is the man. The head of the man is Christ, and the head of Christ is Yah, is God. Okay, but there's a ton of scriptures establishing your role as a man, and this society is the direct opposite of it. All your TV shows are the direct opposite of it, and they usurp that. It's directly upside down. They empower and uplift the woman, and the man is this groveling at her feet, silly idiot. So they're pushing men into this passive, to have this passive spirit upon them, and you see it everywhere. And the funny part is the main reason, because I talked to a whole bunch of people about relationships. And every single time, I'd say like 99.9% of the time, the reason the relationship is going down is because the man is passive. He's not standing up, acting like a real man. And a woman is instinctually designed and made to respond to authority, to respond to an assertive man who establishes boundaries, who leads. Like, this is the job of a leader, to give direction, but you don't see that today. And it's funny, because let me pull up some of these. It's funny. I'll hear, like, I run, like, this is the only time I will just completely stop listening to somebody teaching the word, is when I hear them go over these verses here. Let me pull some of them up. But when I hear them go over these verses that outline the roles of the people in a relationship, I'm gonna just find one quick one. But anytime I hear somebody go over some of these scriptures and they try to water it down and they don't stand on it and speak on it, I run from them, because I like, whoa, why are you going the other direction on that, when that's an epidemic in society today, is passive men and dominant women. And why aren't you speaking on that? So when I hear somebody teach on that and they water it down, boom, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? So we'll go with Ephesians chapter 5, verse 24. It says, therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. So when you read that verse, like, you never hear it in churches, but when you read that verse, you almost have to laugh today because of how rebellious these women are and how passive and soft these men are. And relationships suffer because a woman cannot be attracted to a passive man. It's impossible. That doesn't turn a woman on. But a woman is brainwashed by society to be assertive and even aggressive. And the man is brainwashed by society to be passive. So these spirits have to be overcome, because like that's the binding substance of a relationship, is that the man be assertive and draw boundaries and lines and lead, and that the woman be passive. But that's the exact opposite of what you see. And then you'll hear people, so they'll read this scripture. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. And so Christ loved the church, so the men must love their wives. Like, that's what they'll say. And it's like, absolutely, Christ loved the church. That's why he disciplined them. That's why and the church is Israel, but that's why that's why the Hebrews went through all these curses and get chastened and all that. So they will submit to him. So there just ain't no way around it. I could go show you this thing 20 different ways. There's no way around it. You look at how Christ dealt with Israel. He said, I love you, therefore I'm going to whoop you and discipline you first. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying go out there and whoop your wife or anything like that, but you need to stop being passive and step up to her and let her know you're going to lead. And she need to back off and become submitted, like the Bible says, and encourage you to be a man. Because like I said in my other video, that's one of the worst things the kids could see, is a man being passive and a woman being assertive and aggressive. Like, people are worried about saying bad words in front of kids. That is setting them up for the worst failure they could have, these relationship failures. And like I said, Satan attacks relationships. So how do you overcome this passive spirit as a man? Well, if you're single, you need, I run a lot of passive men who are single, and it's a spirit of fear. They're afraid to walk up and just talk to people. Now I didn't have an extremely passive spirit when I was younger, but I was passive on a lot of things, scared of certain social situations. But what I did is consciously and awarely, I put myself in social situations that I was scared of. And you begin to realize that, hey, because at the time I was single, hey, if I walk up and talk to this girl who's smoking hot that I'm so afraid of, worst thing she could do is just tease me or something. Like, she's not going to pull out a bazooka and end my life in a painful way. Like, the worst thing that could happen is she could just be like, get away from me, you're so ugly. Like, that's probably the worst. But that's never what happened. You know? The worst thing that happened was I stuttered through the conversation. But I was like, well, hey, that wasn't even. So you got to go through this fear, this spirit of fear. One of the things I talk about in some of my dating videos and stuff like that is just start out by, when you walking in the store, if somebody makes eye contact with you, just give them, hey, how you doing? That's it. That's simple. If that's too much for you, go to one of these grocery stores or one of these stores where the people it's their job. They have to make at least a little small talk with you, like Publix. They have to have, and Publix is a grocery store here I'm in Jacksonville, so it's here in Jacksonville. I think it's in Georgia too. But anyway, it's a grocery store, and the cashier has to have at least a little conversation with you. So you go in there, they're going to say, well, hey, what are you cooking today? And you're like, eggs. Oh, okay. All right. Have a nice day. I'm like, all right. Now I could care less. But for somebody who's really overcome with this passive spirit of fear and really recluse, and the reason I say the way to overcome passivity is to get out in social environments and interact with people one-on-one. The reason I say that's the way to overcome it is because that's the biggest fear. And when you're able to, because look at what the definition, look at how they defined it. It's okay. So look at the definition that I read off here. I think this is it. It says someone who is passive tends to accept things that happen to them or things that people say to them without taking any action. Okay? So, you don't speak up. And then you get in a relationship and you're not speaking up. And stuff is slowly, oh, well, we're going to watch this and the kids are going to start celebrating this or attending. You're not speaking up. And a lot of women will test you to see how passive you are. And the women do this instinctually. They'll give you some type of little test to see if you're going to speak up, to see what they're gauging from it is what type of man you are. So they're going to give you a little test and see, is this dude going to step up? And me, you can call me what you want. I'm not aggressive, but I'm very assertive, and they don't even get a chance to give me the test. I lay the rules out, and the woman is to be submitted. And I'm not talking about no little scared woman who gets in the corner and she's super passive, because my wife is submitted, but she a black woman too. So if it's off and it don't line up with the word, she gonna let you know too. She ain't gonna just get in the corner and bow down. And as soon as I get soft and weak, she let me know that too. But I don't get soft and weak. But that's why I love my black women, because if you soft, they're gonna run over you. You just gonna have some painful relationship experiences. So you gotta come out at passive. And like I said, go through your fears. Cause I could get up in front of a group of people, I don't care how big, lay out a little speech and stutter through it and not feel any type of way. It won't be, I might be a little nervous getting up there, but I'll get through it. There's people who they had a science experiment. They said public speaking and walking up to people they don't know and talking to them, the same spot that they saw brain activity in was the same place that the pain of being poked in the eye was in. So that was like the level it was on, like physical harm. So this is a serious fear. And, what's the Bible verse? God has not given us a spirit of fear. Most of Israel had a spirit of fear. Look at King David. Everybody on the hill, David was ready to die. You know what I'm saying? But everybody else is on the sidelines. This is another message that ties into the message I'm getting ready to do on application of the word. People walk around in a spirit of fear. Okay? And it's something that needs to be overcome. And I'll tell you, once you get over, I think one of the biggest fears is what they call public speaking, dealing with the public, walking up to strangers, talking to strangers, all that stuff like that, opening conversations. That's one of the biggest fears, particularly for men, because it's not. It can be crippling to women too, but particularly men. This is why a lot of men are single, because they don't have confidence in themselves. And when you can't just walk up and talk to people or speak in public and stuff like that, there's a lot of other things tied into that. And the way to go through it is go through the pain, start talking to people. And you won't be single long once you begin to get through that. Once you learn, and there's other things that tie into getting in a relationship and meeting a woman and all that stuff like that. I teach it in a lot of my videos, but one of the biggest things is this spirit of fear, this passivity, because I would not advise you get in a relationship if you're passive, because then it could lead into worse things, depression, a breakup, suicide, all types of relationship problems come because people aren't passive. And I'm telling you, in a relationship, especially if you come into a relationship the way we did, like we weren't in the truth like that, and then you come in the truth and you trying to get things aligned, you got to be diligent with your assertiveness in a relationship. And that's like, I'm gonna write that down right now, because I gotta do a video on that, because it's so imperative to be diligent in your assertiveness in your relationship, because it'll wear you out. The stuff you gotta draw lines on. You drawing so many lines, you think you're an artist. You like this. You establishing so many boundaries, you think you making a world map. You know what I'm saying? But it's imperative to have a relationship and a family where there's drama free and the thing goes smooth. Okay. So I'm writing that down so I could do a video on that, because that's imperative. It's so that there's literally nothing more important in a relationship than that. So there we go. So you can look for that video too. It'll be called something along that line. I think I'll call it being a diligent man in your relationship. Okay. And it's just imperative. And I'm saying establishing what boundaries, drawing what lines according to this word, like leading your woman. And leading her, the word says deal with her according to wisdom. So it ain't banging on her all the time and yelling and, woman, you doing this and all that. It's using wisdom doing it. Sometimes you do gotta come hard. Sometimes you gotta just come hard so many times, so often, that you just get tired and you be like, not again, and you sleep even better at night because you so worn out. But a lot of times they do something off and you just say, all right, you let them do it off, and they do something off again. You let them do it off again, and it ain't no big deal. But at the end of the day, you got to be leading your family according to this word. You do, the man does. Adam got passive. Okay. Ahab was passive. Samson was passive. Okay. David was assertive. Abraham was assertive. You see what I'm saying? I don't know who else I can think of, but you see, you gotta be an assertive man. That definition that I read there is what it takes to lead your family according to this word. Okay. And let's read again. Assertiveness is the quality of being self-assured and confident without being aggressive. Okay. So self-assured. Well, what's that definition? Confident in one's own abilities or character. Okay. And like I said, if you're aligned to the word of Yah and you know what's right, you got to learn how to implement that in your life and in your families. Like, and again, if passiveness kills a woman's attraction to you, or as the world calls love, but the way the Bible defines what you call that emotion of love, the Bible defines that as the emotion of fondness to you. Okay. Because the way the Bible defines love is some things you do to somebody else, not a feeling. Okay. But passiveness kills attraction. Assertiveness creates attraction. So I don't care. You could come at me with any relationship problem. That's why. Now there's some dudes who come at me, yeah, I cheated on her, this, that, and other 20 times, and she got fed up, but 99% of people's relationship problems is this: the man is passive and the woman is not submitted. Okay. And that's a whole nother thing of how these women, they need to submit, because if your man's giving you the power and you're taking it and you're being assertive and aggressive over your man and you're ruling over your man in the house, you just as bad, because you enabling him to disable himself. Like you're helping to cripple him, and you doing your family this service. Like Satan took advantage of Adam being passive, and look what it did. You just look through the word, So yeah, it's imperative to understand on this, get this down. So go through your word and read these scriptures on relationships, on the roles of the man and the roles of the woman. And it clearly outlines the roles of the woman. The woman is there to support that man. Okay. It clearly outlines them. There ain't no way around it, but everywhere I look, people ain't implementing it. So, but anyway, I hope this video was informative. You're watching Spiritual Combat, and have a nice day.